is never a illegitimate. It is the father and mother relation which is the illegitimate relation. Can't inherit any part of the property of his husband. Inheritance means the paternal property of the husband. The live-in concept was been recognized by Supreme Court in back in 1978 itself. So it is not a
our subscribers, if you have any questions on the podcast related to the topic today, you can put it in the comment section and we'll try to respond. Please subscribe to the channel. We will be focusing on our subscribers and ensuring that the questions they post get answered. Thank you. Welcome to Sparkplug. Today's episode focuses on the electrifying world of couple laws, relationships, and everything in between. We are joined by a very seasoned divorce lawyer, Pranav Prakash, who is an advocate on record with the Supreme Court. As we know, weddings are a massive deal in our culture. You have all heard the staggering statistics which says that about an average Indian wedding costs around a whopping 20 lakhs. Our per capita income is just 1.4 lakh. That means we spend about 15 years of hard-earned money for 3-4 days of extravaganza, right? And even then, many unions end up being a lifelong stress test. We will be actually navigating the legal landscape of these relationships. And it's not only about the traditional marriage anymore. Relationships are evolving with more couples choosing live-in arrangements. We will delve into that too. Hi Pranav, thanks for your time. Pranav, starting off, when I was introducing you, one statement which I gave was that you are advocate on record. For the understanding of our audience, can you explain what is advocate on record? What is a difference between an advocate and a lawyer in legal terms?
So I will first of all answer your second question, that is difference between a lawyer and an advocate. A person who studies law, who has completed law, who has degree of law is a lawyer. But a lawyer who has registered himself in a state bar council, who has a license to practice law in India is called an advocate. So if you go with the literal meaning also, advocate word itself says you are speaking on behalf of someone. So for that, you need a degree, you need a permission, and the lawyer, the literal meaning itself says the person who knows law.
Okay.
So it is not that all lawyers are advocate, but all advocates are deemed to be a lawyer.
Wow. I mean, I always use these terms interchangeably, so thanks for that clarification.
Next part which you asked was about the advocate on record. See, in Supreme Court, although any advocate can come and practice directly before the Supreme Court, he can argue the matter before the Supreme Court, but all the filings in the Supreme Court has to be done through an advocate on record only. And Supreme Court conducts examination for this purpose. It is not that each and every person who comes to the Supreme Court can be an advocate on record. There are some conditions which you have to fulfill. Then you have to appear for the examination. Then you have to pass the examination. Then you are the advocate on record of the Supreme Court.
So, Pranav, this episode is totally dedicated on couple laws, right? So, in which court generally the couple laws are tried?
There is another set of court which are called family court. These are the court which has the original jurisdiction of trying a case, a dispute between two persons who are married to each other. So
Right.
it is the family court which has the jurisdiction to try up.
But I do have the option of going to higher courts if I'm not satisfied with the
Appeal. So you first of all, the first court is the first court where there is the jurisdiction is also there is a defined in the law where you have to file the case. You
Right.
can't take, you can't just say stay. I'm in Bangalore, so I will file in Bangalore. No, in a matrimonial case, if you go to if you just discuss the divorce part, it has three jurisdiction. First, where the couple has been married, the place where the marriage was solemnized. Second, where the lady is residing.
Okay.
So these two are the most important thing. And third is where both the couple last resided together. So there
Uh-huh.
can be three different places which have the original jurisdiction of
Right.
any case between a husband and wife.
Okay. Awesome. This is good to know. So first, for couple laws, Pranav, let's start with the basics, right? Um, One thing which we all want to understand is how do you define a marriage legally? Now, why do I ask you this is because uh, purely attending the ceremonial side of the marriage. In Hinduism, like you take the seven feras, or in other religion they have their own customs. Is that enough, or what does it take to actually uh, uh, get a legal certification of marriage that these two people are now married legally?
See, in our society, in our country, marriage, at least in Hindu, marriage is something which marriage is a you can just say uh, uh, giving a legal sanctity to a relationship,
Right,
legal social sanctity to the relationship. So here, even the law book says what you are talking about, seven feras and other thing. Those are also a Hindu marriage can't be complete without that seven feras.
right.
So, and the law also contains the customary part. You can't just go away with that. I don't want to follow that. So, no, you have to do. Unless until that seven feras are done, a marriage can't be said to be a marriage as per Hindu law. There is a provision. See, apart from the age, apart from the other conditions which you have to fulfill, this seven feras are also one of the important rituals. Unless until this ritual is complete, it can't be said to be a valid marriage.
So, let's say if I just go to you know, get my marriage legally registered, uh, and uh, and I don't go for seven feras, what would happen in that case?
See, if you're talking about the registration of marriage,
Right, I'm talking about the registration of the
see,
marriage.
registration of marriage, if you go for a registration of marriage under Hindu Marriage Act, the registrar who will register your marriage, he will ask for photographs of your marriage. He will ask for an affidavit saying that the marriage has been, and he will also ask for two witnesses who has witnessed your marriage.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh, okay.
it can't be just okay. चलो आज हम तुम चलते हैं मैरिज रजिस्टर कराते हैं. The thing is कि these are the requirements which just to satisfy the registrar, the marriage has been done as per the Hindu rituals.
Right. The other thing I wanted to ask was, so when you say Hindu Marriage Act, right? Uh, who all actually fall into the purview of Hindu Marriage Act?
The word Hindu has been defined, which says Hindu, Sikh, even Jains, these all are included as Hindu.
Okay. So both the boy and the girl, the bride and the groom, needs to be
Obviously,
Hindu,
obviously, obviously.
right?
Then only it can be a Hindu marriage. Even Buddhists are included as Hindu only. There is a
Okay,
definition which
right,
includes every other than Muslim and Christian.
right. But Pranav, assuming that, let's say the boy is a Hindu and the girl is a Christian, or if you are having an interfaith marriage, in that case, what happens?
There is a different law for that, that is called Special Marriage Act.
Right.
So you will be governed under Special Marriage Act. You have to marry under Special Marriage Act, and your marriage will be registered under Special,
Right.
wherein your caste, your religion is not a bar. And if both of you being a Hindu also, and you want to be married under Special Marriage Act, that is also not a bar to it. I'm saying if you say that no, despite we both are Hindus, but I don't want to go into those rituals or those religion specific marriage. So you have the choice to marry under Special Marriage Act.
In a nutshell, Pranav, can you explain what's the difference between Hindu Marriage Act and Special Marriage Act?
There is no difference as per the entitlement is said. Only the
Right.
thing in Hindu Marriage Act, only two Hindus can marry to each other. In a Special Marriage Act, any person of any caste, any religion, any can marry each other. There is no bar to as per the religion is concerned. But in Hindu, it is one of the essential ground. Both the parties has to be.
In terms of property laws, tax laws, the advantage you get after getting married in these terms, does it change in Hindu marriage law vis-a-vis the Special Marriage Act?
No, no, no. See, if you talk about the property laws, once you become a husband or a wife of a person,
Right.
anyone, so whatever right you get for the property of your husband or your wife, that will govern by a different law.
Right.
You will just enter into it by saying that yeah, I am the wife, I am the husband. Now आपने
Okay.
आपने शादी किसमें किया, it hardly matters. So
Okay.
that is
Okay.
a
Okay.
different dispute. Dispute also, that's a different thing,
Okay. So that is governed by different set of laws itself.
different set of laws. So
Okay. Now, post-marriage, Pranab, I'm slightly moving towards the divorce part. Also comes to my mind is, let's say, someone who has had the customary marriage done but has never legally registered their marriage, right? In case of any dispute, when they go to court, uh, what actually happens? Will they still be considered as legally married?
see, registration few years back, it was a option for it was a discretion of the parties to whether to register or not. But now you have to get your marriage registered. But a non-registered marriage can't be said as it's not a marriage.
Okay.
But the thing is, in respect with the dispute if it arises, suppose her wife goes to the court and her marriage with the boy is not registered, and the boy says, you know, I'm not married to her. So it will be difficult for the lady to prove that there was a marriage between them.
Right.
So registration of marriage is just a, you know, you can say a conclusive proof of marriage.
Okay.
If you are
So
giving
basically,
your certificate, marriage certificate, the court will not say that it's not a marriage. If other
right.
side says, no, this is not a valid or this is a fake certificate, then only something can be.
So basically, in that case, it's on me to prove that I am married. So I'll have to give all the circumstantial evidence, and then it depends whether the court accepts it or not.
Obvious. See, registration of marriage is just for the purpose of proving your marriage if you have to do so in a court of law.
Okay.
That is just
Okay.
a piece of paper which proves it's a documentation part. You can just say.
Right. Right. Pranab, the next thing which comes to my mind is that um, going further ahead and talking about, you know, divorce is another important aspect, right? We are seeing in our society the divorce rates are increasing, and the awareness about these laws are still very less compared to what it ideally should be. So in that case, what actually, um, how do you define legally a divorce? What is a divorce in legal terms?
It is just a separation of
Right.
two married person. It's a separation of the word itself says divorce. Divorce means separation of person. Two anything. If you go to the
Right.
literal meaning, it's a separation of two people. Now it is in a, it has some grounds. It has some laws which governs the process of divorce.
What actually triggers these divorces, especially in the cases which you have seen? What's the common cause?
It is the ego part in maximum cases, but
Right.
there are some exceptions to those things. But what I this is my personal view that it's a ego both the sides and the both the
The ego
sides.
clash, which basically causes the rift.
That is.
One thing I wanted to understand was that what are the common grounds for divorce? As in, I'm sure there is a huge list which basically forms the part of the ground for divorce. But in general, what are the common grounds which you have seen which comes to you for divorce?
See, as per the grounds for divorce is there is a particular section, section 13 of Hindu Marriage Act, which gives you the grounds for divorce, and you can't go beyond that.
Right.
So there is a list of grounds there. Now, the cruelty part is has a big, ambit. So the cruelty can be physical cruelty, mental cruelty, economical cruelty. So the ambit of the grounds are so much, each and everything comes into it. There is
Okay.
a one of the ground is adultery. So in adultery there is a fixed thing. Okay, if there is a case of adultery, then there can be this can be one of the ground. Desertion is one of the ground. If the if there is a willful desertion by either the spouse, then the other spouse can go for divorce under. But there are bar to it. It should be for 2 years. It should be a willful desertion. Then one of the important what I will say, there is a ground which I hope you will find it interesting is presumption of death.
Oh,
So there is a situation wherein a person is been presumed as dead, and this becomes a ground for divorce. I will just give you a detailed thing. What is a presumption of death? If a person whereabout is not known for 7 years, he is declared as dead, which we call a civil death. In a
okay.
legal terms, we call it a civil death.
Right.
Suppose a person whose whereabouts is not known to the wife, the person's whereabouts is not known to his parents, because these are the persons who are presumed to know about the whereabouts of a person,
Right.
or wife or the husband, anyone. And if the whereabouts of the person is not known, the other spouse life can't be kept in a doldrum.
Okay.
ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि वो कहाँ है किसी को मालूम नहीं, वो आएगा नहीं आएगा, whether he is dead, whether he is alive, no one knows anything about that person.
Right.
So this is a ground. So now declaring a person as a civil death, there is a process in legal things. First of all, you have to comply with that process. That also includes court's intervention. It's not just anyone goes and says, I don't know whereabouts of my husband or my wife for the last 7 years, so grant me decree of divorce.
Right.
And then if there is an insanity, if either of the spouse goes insane, that can be one of the ground. Impotency is one of the ground. But these are subject to the medical reports, and you have to prove that those allegations.
Right.
In many cases, it happens that the wife alleges of impotency, but medically the person is not impotent.
Right.
So you have to prove your case.
Right.
There are
Pranav, The next question which comes to my mind is, what is a general process for divorce?
See, the law provides two mode of divorce, two ways of divorce. Either you get separated mutually, or you have to contest it. You have to
Right.
file the case, you have to fight for it. So there are two ways. One is called the mutual consent divorce. It has its own procedure, and the other is the contesting divorce, wherein you have to file, you have to prove the case, prove your case, and you have to get a degree of divorce from the family.
Right. In this mutual consent, uh, what's the process and how much time does it take?
See, in the mutual consent divorce is done in two phases, which we in a legal term use the first motion and second motion. And the law provides that between these two phases, it should be 6 months gap.
Right.
So if technically we can say ki within 6 months to 7 months you can get a divorce decree. But now there is a Supreme Court judgment which says that even you can waive this 6 month period. So it
Okay.
can uh, come to a lesser side also. But
So
that is
once
a
I
complete
apply,
discretion of the family court.
right.
Whether the court feels to waive the 6 month period or not. And that
What
we
is
call
six?
the cooling
Okay.
period.
Cooling period.
See, in Hindu marriage, uh, the the foremost thing which the court has to decide is that the couple should live together.
Right.
Divorce should be the last option, and for that they go for mediation, they go for conciliation. The court talks to the parties, and once they find that now separation is the only way out, then only the in the mutual consent. In divorce part, in the contesting part, the court has to see what allegation one party is making upon the other side.
Right. And then accordingly, based on the
Based
trial
on the
and catch.
evidence trial, the court decides that. But there also the court decide. First of all, the court also gives this only ki let us, if there is any chance of staying together.
Right.
If they don't just come up to any conclusion so far. So the contesting takes some time. I can't quantify the time because it has multiple reasons of. And
Right.
after family court, you have appeal, you have Supreme High Court, you have Supreme Court. So it goes on.
Again, it's more of what you observe and see, and I may be wrong, but um, especially in case of uh, woman, there is a contesting angle to it where someone has contested, and it's not a mutual consent as such for a divorce. Do you sense that the courts are generally biased towards women?
Not nowadays. I will not say
Right.
that now the courts are biased because yes, previously it was the social standard of the woman in our society, and all those trigger to the court to be biased. But now I don't think. In many cases, court are not at all biased. Even if the presiding officer is a female, if the judge is a female, or they are not at all biased towards the.
Uh,
And it differs from the case to case also, circumstances to circumstances. In some cases, status of the lady, the condition of the lady, all those things says that whether you have to give some relief or not. So
right.
I don't think the biasness is now not at all.
One question I always had in mind was when it comes to alimony, especially in divorce cases. Uh, I've always seen men paying out alimony, right? And irrespective of the stature of the wife. And so, in that terms, uh, sometimes you will have, like, the wife is equally competent and she's earning as good as uh, the husband. Uh, in that case, also, is it that the husband has to pay the alimony? how do you how does the court conclude that who has to pay the alimony and by how much?
See, the first part, who has to give the alimony? The person who asked for will get the alimony. So
Right.
in all the cases, it is the wife who asked for. Now, what is a alimony? Alimony is just a, you can say, a amount which makes or equalize the economic condition of both the spouse.
Okay.
So just to make both the spouses, just to bring both the spouses on as equal economical platform. So it is required. The court asks for alimony. So this says if you are bringing someone to a equal footing, that means a person is lifted up. And who will
Right.
be lifted up? The person who is below only can be lifted up. A person
Right.
who is already in a higher state can't be lifted up, or he can't
Right.
be brought down. So
Right.
alimony is just a thing we have to equalize the economic condition of both the spouses. This is the main basic reason behind providing alimony to anyone. No,
Right.
normally it is the lady only which who gets the alimony in
Right.
normal course.
So going by that logic, even a man can ask for an alimony if he is lower on the economic scale than woman.
He can, but
Okay, I was not,
he has to prove the his case also.
okay. I think most of us are not aware about it, but this is a great thing that you're talking about.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, cool. So, Pranav, one thing that comes to my mind is like we tend to get confused between alimony and maintenance. What is alimony? Can you just, in a nutshell, differentiate what is alimony and what is maintenance and when it is actually applied by the courts?
See, as the word itself explains, maintenance is a running maintenance. What we use the word maintenance in our general language also. You have to maintain your bike, you have to maintain your car. So you have to periodically give something to it.
Right,
कुछ expenses उसमें करते रहने में. So to run the life,
right,
day to day things and everything, this is what is the maintenance is. Now, since there is a case pending between the parties, the lady is not staying with, or both the parties are living separately, and either of the spouse is facing some difficulties in whatever sense it is, and just to uh, cope up with those financial difficulties, this maintenance is provided during the pendency of the case.
right. And is it only during the pendency of the case or even after a decision has been taken?
So now, if you are in a divorce proceeding, it is only during the pendency of the case.
Right,
Once the case is decided, then either you have to move an application, separate application for your alimony, and once the case is decided, the alimony part will come.
right,
Otherwise, there are provision of in law for maintenance only,
right.
which a wife can ask from his husband, where a father can ask, either parents can ask from the son, and minor children can ask from the father or mother.
Okay, right. Uh, and how, like, as you said, that during pendency of the case, maintenance is given. Is it always toward the husband gives to the wife, or how does it work out?
In Hindu Marriage Act, either spouse can ask for maintenance during the pendency of the case.
Right.
So it is
And
not
again, the
that bluntly, it is not like that only the wife will ask for the maintenance. The husband can also ask, but you have to prove your case that you need a maintenance. You are not capable of maintaining yourself and all of that.
okay, okay. That's a very, very good point, Pranab. One key question which comes to my mind also is that See, let's say if uh, the the couple has a kid and uh, there is a challenge on the custody of the kid, like who actually takes the custody of the kid. In that case, also, is there a bias towards women, or is it like the court tries to weigh in both the sides and see who's the best parent?
No, court do decide this on the condition of the parents, where the future of the child is much more secure.
Right,
With whom? But there is a bar to it. Since a child needs a mother care till a particular specific age,
right,
which no one can, give to the child. So in those period where a child is very small, so the custody is always with the mother because the
right,
child needs mother care. So on those points, it is the since the child needs the mother care much more, so it is the custody is given to the mother. But in normal course, if the childs are much older and other thing, then it's the court decides. Even in many cases, court talks to the children if they are capable to understand the questions of the court and the proceedings of the court. Then the court
right,
talks to them also and just see कि किसके पास best future secure है बच्चे का.
right. Um, does the economic status also play the role? Like if
See, everything depends upon the economic status.
right,
Not how you will how you will bring up the child. If you
right,
don't have good economic condition, where he will go, which school he will go. In see, whenever there is a dispute for the custody of the child, the person who seeks the custody, who has filed the custody case, he always says that the other side who has the custody of the child is not capable to provide good education. No, 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 no. The good. What is the you know what the definition of a good education? If you are studying in a good high school, then it is a good education. Now
right.
they will say कि okay, इनके पास तो पैसा नहीं, ये तो गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में बच्चे को पढ़ाएंगे तो बच्चे का फ्यूचर कैसे आप अच्छा सिक्योर कर
हाँ,
सकते
हाँ,
हैं.
हाँ, हाँ.
हाँ, so it depends upon the economic condition of the spouse, the parents, जिसके पास अच्छे financial conditions हैं. See, this is the what I say is the normal माइंड सेटअप कि जिनके पास अच्छे पैसे हैं उनके पास फ्यूचर ज्यादा सिक्योर इन ऑल द
अच्छा.
वे इन ऑल द
Right,
so
right,
it is considered it do consider but it
right.
is not the only ground कि इनके पास पैसा है तो अच्छे से.
Okay. Um, so next thing is that how about the property rights? How does it work out? Like, let's say if there is a mutual divorce, or I mean divorce by mutual consent, or even in case of the contesting cases where either of the spouses contesting the divorce. Uh, how does the property inheritance work out? Because I have seen that. See, there's a lot of talks about uh, recently there was a case. I mean, there are a lot of high-profile cases also where we have heard that the husband ends up giving a huge part of his property to the wife. Now, I wanted to understand how does it actually work out and what's the calculation behind it?
See, if you just say in a mutual consent case, the mutual consent is based the mutual word itself is mutual consent. हमारी आपके बीच की सहमति. Now
हाँ,
this mutual consent, how you arrive to this mutual consent. So there is a set of terms and conditions wherein you arrive to this mutual consent.
right.
And that terms and condition can be anything which is been mutually agreed between the parties.
हाँ,
If the lady says, I need nothing, you just let
Give me the
be
divorce. Divorce
separated.
दे दो मेरे को चाहिए नहीं,
No,
all
I
good.
don't need it. If the wife says no, I need this much thing. These are the conditions for mutual consent. I need this much of money. If ठीक है money नहीं देना है, you give me one of your flats and this much of money. So that is complete. I would sorry to use this word, a bargaining type of between
Right,
the two parties. If you
right.
if you just go to the vegetable market, सामने सब्जी लेने करते हैं, what we talk to with the vegetable wala. He says कि no, it is 60 rupees kilo. We say नहीं जी 40 में दो. Then we somehow
Right.
come to a point कि 50 में पड़ गया.
हाँ,
So
right,
there is no court's intervention. It is just a mutual terms and condition which has been agreed upon by both the parties.
right.
And the most important thing is the jewelry part.
Oh,
So since you talked about the property inheritance and other thing, a wife can't inherit any part of the property of his husband. Inheritance means the paternal property of the husband. She can't inherit
oh, okay.
in the lifetime of the husband. There is
Oh, okay.
so once the husband dies, then she steps into the shoes of the husband. But in the lifetime of the husband, she can't claim any right, anything in the paternal property of the husband or even
Right.
the self acquired property of the husband.
Oh, even the self-acquired property she cannot
No,
claim.
no. See, he doesn't have that right. In the self acquired, मैंने अपने खुद से खरीदा है, ये अपने मेहनत से खरीदा है. हाँ, unless until she says कि no, I have also paid for the
हाँ,
property.
हाँ.
So then she can claim the right. She can
Right,
see the legal words are very much, we have to catch the word. Our rights is something, our inheritance is something, you know, each and everything comes, it has its own meanings, and we have to use it in the legal prayer.
so if I get it correctly, what you're saying is कि जो inherit किया हुआ है, मतलब जो अपने parents, so if it's a paternally inherited, जो parents से आया हुआ property है, या forefathers से, उस पे वाइफ का कोई राइट है ही नहीं, वो क्लेम भी नहीं कर सकती, मतलब
No,
वो चैलेंज का पार्ट भी नहीं हो सकता.
no.
अ,
In the
और
lifetime of the husband.
इन द लाइफ
See,
टाइम ऑफ द हस्बैंड.
she has the right, but it is through the husband.
हाँ,
It is through the husband what she has the right in that property. If you are
हाँ,
separating, so where is the question of stepping into the shoes of your husband? When the person itself is no more your husband,
राइट.
now how can you see whatever see what you said? He after divorce you have came to know about some instance wherein the boy has to give up much property. That are the part of the alimony. If not in money, you're giving in ways of your property.
ओके, गॉट इट.
So she can't file a partition suit in your paternal
ओके,
thing.
so it's a indirect transaction, but directly you cannot claim it.
No. See, if suppose husband and wife has decided to separate and the condition which is put is the husband will pay 1 crore rupees.
Right,
Now, 1 crore can be in the way of money, the hard cash which has been given, or in the way of property. So this they have to decide what in what ways you want to take that element.
right, right. So this is a very, very interesting piece, Pranab. The other question I had in mind was that, um, can you clarify a little bit on the, so I got the part where the husband is inheriting from the forefathers or father from the paternal side. But can you just elaborate a little bit on the part where even if it's a self-bought property by the husband, the wife cannot actually claim it?
See, that property is a property which is being purchased by a person individually from his own hard-earned money. So today, if I have purchased something, I have the right to even dispose it. I want to give it, I want to sell it off. I don't need anyone's, legally, I don't need anyone's permission for that.
Right.
If I want to give that property as a gift to someone, A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, anyone, no one can legally, say you can't do it.
Right.
See, in other way, if there is some hindrance has been caused, that is a different point. But
Right.
legally, you can't. A wife can't stop his husband to alienate a self-acquired property or dispose
Okay.
of the self or in any way. Either I sell it out, I give it as a gift to anyone. So nothing, wife can't stop it. She doesn't have any right on that property with till my lifetime.
Unless she proves that she has contributed in the purchase of the property.
So see, if you have contributed any part, you have your interest to that contribution, to respect of to that. If suppose a flat is purchased in 40 lakhs,
Right.
the husband has given 30 lakhs, wife
Right.
has given 10 lakhs. Now
Right.
she can claim to extent of 10 lakh
Right.
कि नहीं मैंने तो 10 लाख दिया, either you pay me that 10 lakh or you don't
Huh.
sell it, or whatever you get the sale proceed, we will share it in that poor person
Right.
only.
Right. Right.
So that
Okay.
is this way.
Okay. Okay. So now moving on, Pranav, our next section is the live-in relationship, right? Which is trending in India now. And if you observe in last 2 3 years, uh, there are a lot of cases which have raised eyebrows, right? Um, People have been a little bit skeptical about the laws related to live-in. Also, there has been some new developments in the legal judicial system also about live-in. I wanted to understand, how do you define live-in legally?
See, first, what I would like to say is this live-in concept was been recognized by Supreme Court in back in 1978 itself. So it is not
Oh,
so new as what you are saying.
I,
It was
I, I didn't know that. I think
so there.
most of the people don't know this.
There is a judgment upon it wherein it says wherein some part was the court has recognized this uh, setup of living
Right,
together, cohabiting together. So now the other part, what you asked was the legal definition of live-in and other thing, or legal sanctity of that relationship. The Indian law doesn't provide any legal definition to uh, live-in.
right,
See, in India, what we have, I'll just give you a short, background of what is law and how it is made in India.
right,
See, we have three modes by which law is implicated in Indian in our land. First, the through parliament.
right,
Second is the uh, court made law, judges made law, which is the law laid down by Supreme Court and High Court through its judgments.
right,
And the third is the customary law. The customary law is, you know, in some, tribes or in some caste, and there is a custom which is going from last, hundreds of years, thousands of years, So that custom is nowhere written. It has been just, followed by your father, your grandfather, and so on. And that's how it is, carried forward. And you are not disobeying with that
right.
customary thing. So these are the three ways where by how law is made in our country. So now neither of these three supports your living.
Okay.
Neither there is any law statute which talks about live in कैसे होनी चाहिए live in relation क्या. Nor there is any customary. As per what I know, there is no customary things wherein there may be in some tribes where you can live together
Ah.
without marriage also.
But these customary things
But
also do not have a legal standing, right? It's more of a
no,
moral
no, it
society
has
behavior.
no, it has a legal
Okay.
standing. It has a
Okay.
legal standing. But for
Okay.
that also, you have to prove.
Okay.
I will just give you an example. In some tribal tribes and something, wherein daughters doesn't have a legal right in the father's property.
Okay.
So, but those tribal also are governed by Hindu law only.
Right.
See, but they say that since in our custom we don't give any share to our daughter, so we are following it.
Right.
But if a daughter of that tribe or that particular thing, if she
Yeah.
files a partition suit, no, I need my share, then the person who is saying that कि this is our custom, wherein the daughters are not being given that, he has to prove that. अब वो prove
Oh.
कैसे होगा? He has to, if how what we call in our things, it is the pandits and that religious guru
Ah.
whom we uh, term it as the person who knows our religion or our
Right.
customs. They have to come forward and give evidence. They have to
Right.
depose before the court कि हाँ जी ये हमारे यहाँ से होता है. Either some older people in our society जो बूढ़े लोग होते हैं, they have to come to the court and say कि नहीं हमारे यहाँ तो ऐसा नहीं चलता, हम लड़कियों को नहीं देते. So this is one of the way how just to understand कि customary law कैसे बनते हैं.
Okay. The
Now
court
what we are
considered
talking,
these customary laws as well. Yeah.
obviously. See, if you just want to know another example, in Hindu religion you can't marry your relation in your
Yeah.
relation,
Yeah.
but there are some uh, caste and in Maharashtra, in many other religions, so wherein this gives this thing कि अच्छा you can marry, even a mama can marry the bhanji, and this way things happen. So since it is a customary in their religion, so the court doesn't say, this is an invalid marriage. No.
Okay.
So this is how the custom runs. So as per the live-in is thing, we don't have any law governing this part, nor we have any customary thing. What we have is the court-made judgments. So if you just say, if you just go for the terminology live-in, it is
Ah.
just how two people cohabit. एक साथ रहते हैं दो आदमी. It is live-in. Now, what make it different is when you are living as a husband and wife, but you are not married.
Ah. Right. Makes sense.
हाँ, so now the thing is कि ठीक है live-in तो तब तक सही है जब तक suppose अब whether I will ask a question to myself, if a boy and a girl is living in one flat, शेयरिंग अ फ्लैट. नाउ आई एम जस्ट सेइंग इट्स नॉट लिविंग, इट्स शेयरिंग अ फ्लैट. ठीक है वो किचन शेयर कर रहे हैं, एक कमरा में वो रह रहा है, एक कमरा में ये लेडी रह रही है. वेदर इट विल बी टर्म्ड एज अ लिव इन?
Ah.
तो नो, इट विल नॉट. You have to be into a emotional relation, you have to be in a physical relation, then it हो सकता है the sharing of rooms can be a startup of a live-in
Right.
relation, but it can't be at that point of time be said to as a live-in relation.
Oh, okay.
So for a live-in relation, you have to, qualify all the condition of marriage. First of
Right.
all, the
Right.
age condition, the consent condition, then
Right.
your live-in is. So from day after day, this live-in culture started, you know, previously don't think anyone we know we have not even heard of this word.
Right, right, right.
You are very correct that for the last 4 5 years, or we can 10 years maximum, 15 years maximum, we
Yeah,
have started nowadays. So it is very common.
right,
So since it was the need of the land कि ऐसा कुछ law होना चाहिए to even govern these people also, this relationship also.
right.
So there are multiple of judgments which has time to time they have cope up with all the difficulties in this relation.
Right.
In 1978, the court said, okay, we recognize you as a live-in relation, but you have to qualify all the condition of marriage.
Oh,
You can live together. A boy and girl can live together. Previously, it was you can live together only when you are married.
right.
Then only social status will be given to you, moral status will be given to you. Otherwise, if you are living together without marriage, your relation will be an immoral relation. You will not have a social status to it.
Ah,
So the court say कि नहीं रहेगा मिलेगा आपको status, but you have to qualify all the conditions of marriage in respect with the age, respect with that you are living together with consent. It is not that कि someone has put a gun on your forehead and asked you to leave.
okay.
ठीक है. Now what happened? One, once you are living together, everything is good. But subsequently, when some differences occurs, now where you will go? Then court said कि no. If you are causing any violence upon the lady, you will come under the purview of domestic violence also.
Okay.
Suppose if with your this relation, if a child is born out, now what is the fate of that child? You two individual entered into a relationship which was not having any social recognition, and you gave birth to a child.
Right.
Then the court came with another decision which says कि no, if a child is born out of that relationship, that child is a legitimate child and he has all the rights in the property of the father.
Oh, okay.
As
That's an
if
interesting.
a legit. See, in Indian law, there is the term which is very frequently used by people illegitimate. A child is never a illegitimate. It is the father and mother relation which is a illegitimate relation.
Right. That's a
A
very
child
interesting
is
point.
a child is always a legitimate child only.
Right.
उसकी क्या गलती है?
Right.
Why the child be called as a illegitimate?
Right.
It is you. You means the your relation which was a illegitimate reason giving. So that child has all the rights in the father's property or the mother's property.
Okay. This is very interesting, Pranav. Thanks for throwing light on these because in generally you would actually not get these details out. A common man mostly doesn't really know this unless you actually get into these cases. So thanks for clearing the air out here. One question I also had was related to live-in that, and again, this could be a hypothetical case. I don't know if this has happened ever before, but let's say if both the parties who are in a relationship decides to get into a consensual sex. In that case, and eventually one of the uh, partners um, they decide to go to the court and label it as uh, forced forced sex, as in in these cases, like in cases of consensual sex, like you won't have an agreement written, right? Like it's more of a relationship that kind of goes in that direction. But if any of the partners challenge it, what happens actually? How does the court decide that? Does court sees it as similar to as married couples, or what lens would the court use to figure out if this was really a consensual sex or not a consensual sex because they are not really married?
See, having sexual relation with anyone is not a illegal thing unless and until it is a force thing, unless until it is without the consent of the lady,
Right,
other unless until it is done when the lady is put into some threat.
right.
So if both the parties are consenting to this, it is not illegal. I think important part is the age of the girl and the consent from the girl. As you
Right,
said, after that relationship, if someone goes to the court, normally it's not the someone, it's the female only who goes to the court in
right,
many of the cases, and alleges of rape.
right,
So, what is important is the age of the parties. So, any consent given by a person who is below 18, any girl who is below 18, and in some cases when if the consent is given forcefully, that consent is said to be invalid consent.
okay,
And even if the consent is also given by the person or by the lady below the age of 18, any relationship made by such lady is said to be a rape only. It is defined as a rape.
okay,
The one thing. This is in respect with a consent given by a minor. A minor means a person who is below 18 of age. So a consent given by a minor is never a valid consent. So any sexual relation with a minor is a offense charged
right,
by under IPC. Second part comes they are not minors and they have entered into such relationship. One of such conditions comes when the persons are in love affairs. They entered into such physical uh, acts on the promise or on such promise made by either the side कि we will marry. So they say कि चलो जो हम लोग तो शादी करने वाले हैं तो फिर we can go. And subsequently, if the boy refuses to marry for whatever reason,
false
now
promise.
that even nowadays there are judgments wherein says if you are see it completely differs from case to case. I'm just talking a broad issue,
Right, right,
but it can't be mathematically it can't put into each and
right,
every
right,
situation. It has to be every case is a different case. Every case has its own merit and demerit.
right,
So in that case, there are conditions wherein it is said to be a forceful or not forceful. It's said though it was a consented act of sex, but since it was done with a promise to marry and now you are not marrying, then it will come under rape.
oh, okay. That's interesting to know. One thing which also comes to my mind is that uh, in couple laws, or for that matter, in any of the disputes or criminal cases, cost of hiring a good lawyer बहुत ज्यादा हो जाता है. तो जो एक आम आदमी जितने नंबर ऑफ अपीयरेंसेस होते हैं उसका पे आउट्स वगैरह ये बहुत डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है. मैं एक समझ सकता हूँ कि एक मिडिल इनकम ग्रुप शायद अफोर्ड कर ले, बट जो गरीब आदमी है उसके लिए कॉस्ट ऑफ गेटिंग यू नो द जुडिशियल सर्विसेज बहुत हाई हो जाता है. इसके ऊपर व्हाट्स योर टेक ऑन दिस?
See, the terminology of अच्छा वकील, it's a very, uh, what we understand, जो ज्यादा फीस चार्ज करेगा वो अच्छा ही होगा.
Right.
This is what is a general perception. If he is charging high, he is a good doctor, he is a good advocate, he is a good professional. So this is one of the reason which causes uh, you know a very high rise in the fees and other things. Second part, you talked about the lower income group, या जो poor people हैं. There is a legal aid provided by the government
Okay.
to all persons. There are those for female, it is 100% free. There is no condition. Only condition which you have to meet is you should be a female. You should be a woman. Whether you are working, whether you are not working, if no anyone, if she is a lady, she is a child, she is belongs to some SC/ST category, you will get the legal aid by default. If you ask for it, you will get it. You don't
Right.
have to pay anything. You don't have to qualify for it. For other person, you have to qualify for it. That is, if your income should be less than 1 lakh or something like that, is a cap to it. If you comes under that category, you get a free legal aid counsel. The counsel is being paid through the by the government, and he represents your case before the court.
Right.
So this is for this. And जहाँ तक बात है अच्छे लॉयर की and their fees, it if you are paying, then obvious है उनका demand ज्यादा होगा. This is
Uh, so,
and the other part the number of appearances होते हैं ये. Since हमारे यहाँ number of cases इतने हैं, there are very less. According to the number of cases, we don't have that much of judges. एक एक जजेस के ऊपर नहीं भी कुछ तो भी 10 लाख 20 लाख का फीस का बर्डन होता है. And
wow.
it is a difficult or it's difficult part saying that कि नहीं जजेस लेट करते हैं या जस्टिस सिस्टम इतना हमारा स्लो है. In many cases what happens कि you can't give justice in a way of instant coffee वाला part. If you go and have a instant coffee, आप एक बटन दबाते हो और आपके कप में कॉफी आ जाता है. If you taste that coffee and that coffee which is made traditionally the way जो घर में बनता है, दोनों का टेस्ट जो है सो you will find the difference. So a judgment can't be given in instant way. In many cases, judges also they do feel the what judgment should be given. क्योंकि बोथ साइड से इतने डॉक्यूमेंट्स होते हैं, इतने कुछ पढ़ने के लिए होते, यू हैव टू अप्लाई योर माइंड इन सच की आपके एक जजमेंट से किसी का शायद जिंदगी खत्म हो जाए.
Right.
So you have to very much cautious while giving a judgment. You have to see the social status of thing. You have to not only the documents you have to see the socially also. आप एज अ ह्यूमन बीइंग क्या सोच रहे हैं वो भी कभी कभी देखना होता है जिसको. इवन वी वाइल वी आर डीलिंग विथ केसेस वी इट इज डिफिकल्ट फॉर अस टू डिसाइड कि whether my client is saying correct or not. In many cases this happens. So delay hai, we can't say no to it. Delay hai in many cases. There are delay due to advocates also. They are delay because judges are overburdened with work, not only with the judiciary part, they have to see the administrative things also. There are many other works which they have to, other than the judiciary, but they have to see others. So, and everyone has same 24 hours. आज के केस के बाद they have to prepare for the tomorrow's case also. जो भी in every case, not less than 100 cases or 60 cases are
Right.
there in their list in a daily way. And you can't just close your eyes and sign the documents. So
Right.
there is due to we have very large number of cases pending. तो थोड़ा सा वो चीज है. And
राइट, मतलब आई थिंक दीज आर गुड पॉइंट्स प्रणब। मतलब एक सेंसिटिविटी भी थोड़ा जागरूक होती है टुवर्ड्स द लीगल सिस्टम, कि एज यू सेड इट्स अ ग्रेट एग्जांपल कि इंस्टेंट कॉफी नहीं मिलेगा, किसी की जिंदगी का सवाल है, इट विल टेक इट्स ओन कोर्स ऑफ टाइम। थैंक यू प्रणब, थैंक्स फॉर योर टाइम, वी रियली अप्रिशिएट इट एट स्पार्क प्लग हियर। आपने बहुत सारे एरियाज को बहुत ही डिटेल में कवर किया, स्पेशली द कपल लॉज। बहुत सारे पॉइंट्स आपने बताए जो जेनरिक ऑडियंस को नहीं पता होते हैं। थैंक यू फॉर योर टाइम, और मुझे लगता है कि इस पॉडकास्ट को देखने के बाद बहुत लोगों को बहुत डिटेल्ड नॉलेज होगा जो पहले नहीं होता था। सो थैंक यू, थैंक्स फॉर कमिंग एंड थैंक्स फॉर योर टाइम।
Thanks. Thanks a lot, Vivek. Thanks a lot. Thank you.